ask Ellen to go with them help. 要不协商他。
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Office of Tax Appeals. My name is Tommy Leung. I will be the lead judge for the hearing today. Along with me today are Judges Veronica Long and John Johnson. And each of us will be co-participants in deciding this appeal. And any questions you have, you can direct them to me. Our legal stenographer today is Lynn Alonzo. She will be preparing a verbatim transcript of today's hearing. For this purpose, we ask that everybody speak clearly at a normal pace, and please do not talk over each other. Best practice is to mute your mics when not speaking. This hearing is being live broadcast, so please be aware of that when you're disclosing your information. When the transcript is ready, it will be placed on our webpage. Before we go on the record, some more housekeeping things to look at is that the issue I have here is whether the late filing penalty should be abated. Ms. Khayyam, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And FTB, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I think we have the time allotted for everybody's testimony. Today is the magic of 5. Everybody's got 5 minutes. 5 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes for each witness, 5 minutes for franchise tax board, and then 5 minutes for closing from the taxpayers, and then 10 minutes for FDP for questioning, and 15 minutes for the panel for questioning. I think that's all I have for house cleaning matters. I'm ready to go on the record in 3, 2, 1 now. So this is the appeal of Khayyam, OTA case number 2212120988. Today is February 22nd. It's approximately 9:40 in the morning. The issue, let's see, before this hearing was held during the pre-hearing conference, the parties agreed to the following: that this hearing will be held electronically, that the issue to be decided is whether the late filing penalty for the 2020 tax year should be abated, that the let's see, I forgot now, that the exhibits, franchise tax boards A through F as in Frank, and taxpayers 1 through 2 are all admitted into evidence and into the record. I would ask the parties to please introduce themselves before we get started, beginning with you, Ms. Khayyam.
I'm Niku Khayyam, one of the defendants.
Taxpayers, not defendants.
Taxpayer.
Sir.
Sohail Khayyam, a taxpayer.
Good morning. And the 2 witnesses?
Kenneth Lipner, CPA,
Okay.
for the Khayyams.
Okay. Ms. Soto?
I'm Enkeleda Soto,
Good morning.
a controller. Good morning.
Okay. For the franchise tax board?
Eric Brown, California Franchise Tax Board.
Good morning. Ms. Kent?
Cynthia Kent, also appearing on behalf of the California Franchise Tax Board.
Good morning, Ms. Kent. Before we get started, I think for the taxpayer, I think you all might be testifying about some of the facts. So I'm going to have you all get sworn in first. So will you, Ms. Khayyam, Mr. Khayyam, Mr. Lipner, and Ms. Zoto, please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please
I
put
do.
your hands down. Ms. Khayyam, you may begin your presentation. Start when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone for joining today. We are presenting our case, which is that because of the COVID situation in 2019 extending into 2020, we were unable to file our 2020 taxes on time. We had a very difficult situation here in New York. Offices were closed for a very long time. Everyone was working from home. Our CFO at that time had underlying health issues. She had diabetes, and she was sick with COVID for a very long time, unable to work at all. Once we came back into the office, she refused to work from the office and stayed at home, worked from home. And we were unaware that she had absolutely done nothing. She was not keeping up the work. She was not keeping up the records. And once she quit and she never handed the work over to anyone. Our new controller, Enka, you will be hearing from later, was never handed over the work properly. She had to try to get everything. Nothing was done. Nothing was in time. And she was unable to get everything together. So again, all of this was caused because of the COVID situation. New York State at that point had offered a tax extension into February of, and Ken Lipner, our personal controller, will also testify to that. And we used this extension because our paperwork wasn't ready. Because of the New York extension, we were unable to calculate our personal taxes for California in time. So because we had this New York extension, we took the New York extension. We were not able to file on time in California. Once we did, and the taxes were, I have it here, $171,058. We actually overpaid and paid a penalty on that, but then later we're hit with a penalty of $46,524. We asked for a consideration to abate this penalty because of the unusual circumstances of COVID, and we're denied twice. So this is our case. Sohail, is there anything you would like to add?
No, you explained it pretty good, but I just want to ask for the understanding of the situation that we were in. You recall New York was hit the hardest with the COVID. Unfortunately, it was a very difficult situation, and as Niku mentioned, our CFO had underlying situation with the overweight, and even after we decided to come back to work, she refused and said that she wants to work from home, and we were not aware that the work is being done or not. And by the time we found out, it was just way past the time. We had actually Angel, I call her an angel because she saved me. I'm talking about our new CFO, Enka, and came to the rescue. But when she came in, she told me, Sal, this is going to be a big mess because nothing was done. Absolutely nothing was done. And we were not aware of it. She tried to put it together the best she can, as fast as she can. And that caused the delay, unfortunately, which caused us to file late because our personal taxes are related to the K1s that we get from the companies. So because we didn't have that prepared on time, automatically, our personal taxes got delayed. So we did pay the taxes of Niku. How much was $170-some thousand?
$171,058.
58. And we hope and ask for your understanding to we've been being in business many years. We've been paying our taxes on time all these years. This was just an unusual year, unusual time, and we hope that we will have your understanding. Thank you. Enka, you want to add about when you came over and you took over the books? How messy was the books when you came in?
If they decide for me to.
Yeah, you can. I'm sorry. Can Enka continue, Judge? Yes.
Hi. When I started, my first day at work was on August 9, 2021. And Elizabeth, my predecessor, she resigned on July 21st. So I never had a chance to meet with her. And she never handed me over the work or anything. So I went over all the books, all the statements, everything in the system, and nothing was done. It was no journal entries for 2020. There was no bank statements downloaded for 2020 in the system. It was no payroll entries. There was nothing done, and I have to redo and recollect everything, all the information. I have to do all the financials. To prepare all the financials, I have to do all the account analysis because they are all necessary for me to hand it over to the accountant for them to prepare the financial to file the taxes for us. So all of this took me months and months, and I wasn't able to do it on time. I'm sorry about the whole thing, but that's what it was.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Khayyam, would you like Mr. Lipner to testify about something?
Yes, if Ken Lipner, our personal accountant, if you could please.
CPA.
Yes. Good morning, Judge. Yes, so I've been the Khayyam's personal accountant for 20 plus years. Obviously, 2020 was a very unusual year for their filings. They had never been late in any previous filings with the state of California. One thing that was not mentioned was that there was the IRS did grant automatic extensions for the state of New York. One, there was a natural disaster in September of 2021. The IRS then granted any New York residents additional time to file until February 15th of 2022. The personal tax returns, which include New York and California as a non-resident in California, was filed prior to that in early February of 2022. And the taxes were paid at that time. Like the Khayyam said earlier, the books and records were out of their control and were unable to file until they got those records, and I made them aware that we did have an extension until February of 2022 to file, assuming that California would abide by that, since they are non-residents of California and not residents of California. So they filed non-resident tax returns and did pay in the tax, which was granted by the state of New York to pay in anything, up until the filing date of February 15th of 2022. So, nothing was intentionally done to file late and, not pay the taxes. The taxes were paid, like I said earlier, when the return was submitted on February 5th of 2020. So, again, there was no willful intent. There was no, nothing intentionally done to not file timely. It was just, very unusual circumstances for their business and for the state of New York for, not being able to get records together, not being able to get into the office, not being able to put everything together in order to receive their outside K-1s for their businesses that they needed in order to prepare their personal tax return.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Lipner, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, I just want to say, hopefully, the Franchise Tax Board will, be, have the understanding. You'll have the understanding that there was no willful intent on anyone's part not to pay and file, anything not on a timely basis. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Khayyam, anything else?
No, I think everything was clearly stated.
Okay. Mr. Brown, anything for franchise? You have any questions for the witnesses? I think you're muted. Can't hear you, Mr. Brown. Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Something happened where I lost my picture,
Uh,
but it is what it is.
that happens to all of us.
Okay. I am prepared to proceed if the judge is ready.
Well, I wonder if you have any questions for the witnesses first.
Oh, do I have any questions? No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, let me go to my co-panelists. Judge Long, any questions for the witnesses?
I do have a question about books and records that were the basis for this. Are your books and records located in the office, or is this electronic?
It's in the office.
It's in the office, and your office is located in New York.
Yes, Manhattan, New York City.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Judge Long. Judge Johnson, any questions?
Thank you. One question. You mentioned the prior CFO left in July of 2021. And at that time, it sounded like everyone was back in the office already. And when she left, you realized that she hadn't been doing any work. Did you realize before July of 2021 that she had not been properly keeping up the books?
We thought that she is running behind, but we didn't know the extent of how backed up she was. I believe with her conditions, which she did catch COVID, and she could not work for a period of time, a long period of time, because of her underlying situation that she had. But we did not know about how disastrous it actually was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry for 1 second there, Ms. Kent. I think we lost Eric Brown for a second, but he's coming back. Do you need any of that repeated, Franchise Tax Board, Ms. Kent?
Oh, Mr. Brown's left again. Right now he's back.
Yeah, I think you're still muted, Ms. Kent.
It's taking forever to get off of unmute. I apologize. I am trying. No, we don't need any of that repeated.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's the only question. Thank you, Judge Long.
Okay, Judge Johnson, thank you. Mr. Lipner, you mentioned the feds granted another extension in September of 2021 because of some natural disaster. Was that like a flood, or what was going on?
It was Hurricane Ida.
Okay, Hurricane Ida. And is there any, this wasn't a individual by individual extension. This is basically a public announcement made by the IRS.
Correct.
Is there anywhere we can find that announcement?
Yeah, I have that. I'm staring at that. I apologize, I didn't log into Zoom, but I do have, I don't know how I can get that over to you. I do have the announcement.
You can wait till after the hearing and email it to evidence@ota.ca.gov, and also send a copy to the Franchise Tax Board, wherever. I guess you must have Eric Brown's email.
Okay.
So you can
Judge,
wait
can you give me that email again?
Evidence@ota.ca.gov.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I need to reference anything in that email?
You can reference this particular, the OTA case number 2212120098, appeal of Khayyam.
Okay. Can you repeat the numbers one more time?
Sure. 2212120098.
Okay. I will send that over.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Brown, when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge, and I apologize for the technical difficulty a moment ago.
No worries.
Good morning. I'm Eric Brown, attorney for the Franchise Tax Board. Also from the Franchise Tax Board is Cynthia Kent. In this appeal, appellants have failed to establish reasonable cause to abate the late filing penalty. The tax year is 2020. Because of the COVID-19 environment, the due date for filing tax returns was extended to May 17th, 2021. Under California law, there is an automatic paperless extension by which an individual taxpayer may file a California income tax return by October 15th without imposition of a late filing penalty. For tax year 2020, the automatic extension deadline was October 15, 2021. Appellants did not file their California tax return until February 5th, 2022, 10 months after the original filing deadline. Appellants remitted a payment along with their tax return. Even though appellants reported total payments of $7,835, representing an estimate tax payment, the evidence is clear that appellants had not made any extension payments or estimate tax payments or any other payments of any kind prior to February 5th, 2022, not even withheld tax. Since appellants filed their tax return almost 10 months after the filing deadline, FTB imposed a late filing penalty. Appellants argued they were unable to file their tax return by the original deadline or the extended deadline because of the unavailability of their chief financial officer of appellant's manufacturing company. Appellant's company operated as a subchapter S corporation, of which appellant Sohail Khayyam was the sole shareholder. Appellants argue that because of the unavailability of their CFO, they were unable to obtain a K-1 from the S corporation in time to file a timely tax return. Appellants also argue their tax preparer was likewise unavailable due to COVID circumstances to prepare appellant's tax return. Appellants have failed to provide evidence to support their assertions. Additionally, appellants made no efforts to estimate their taxes based on prior tax years, and appellants made no payments of any kind prior to February of 2022. If appellants had remitted an extension or estimate tax payment by May 17, 2021, based on an estimate from previous tax years, there may have been no late filing penalty at all, since the penalty is based on a percentage of tax owed as of the original due date of the return. Alternatively, to the extent appellants might have remitted a payment in any amount, the late filing penalty would have been less than the current penalty amount. In the 2019 OTA precedential opinion of Appeal of Morin, the OTA stated that, quote, if a taxpayer asserts that he does not have the information necessary to make a reasonably accurate estimate of his tax liability, he must show the efforts made to acquire that information from the source that held it, and that difficulties in obtaining the necessary information led to the delay in payment. An assertion that records were difficult to obtain without any substantiation of efforts made to retrieve those records or otherwise showing that they were unobtainable is not sufficient to show reasonable cause, unquote. In the 2018 OTA precedential opinion of Appeal of Tao Say, in which the OTA determined that a taxpayer had not shown reasonable cause to abate the late filing penalty, the OTA held that taxpayers have an obligation to file timely returns with the best available information and to then subsequently file an amended return if necessary. The OTA also reiterated that difficulty in obtaining information does not constitute reasonable cause for the late filing of a return. In the previously mentioned Morin precedential opinion, the OTA discussed that one of the factors in determining whether a taxpayer had shown reasonable cause was the degree of taxpayers' access to the documents or information required to determine their tax liability. The less access to the information, the more reasonable a taxpayer's unsuccessful efforts to obtain documents or information might be. In the present appeal, appellants had control over the information they needed to determine their tax liability. Mr. Khayyam was the sole shareholder of the S corporation under which the manufacturing company was operated. Appellants did not need to go through third parties to obtain the information they needed. Appellants have failed to produce any evidence to show the efforts they made to acquire information to prepare the K-1, or that difficulties in obtaining the necessary information led to the delay in filing or payment. The only evidence they have produced is their unsubstantiated assertions to the effect that COVID shutdowns prevented them from obtaining the information they themselves controlled. The appellants have failed to establish reasonable cause to abate the late filing penalty, and respondent respectfully requests that the OTA sustain respondent's actions. I would be happy to answer any questions the panel may have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Judge Long, any questions for the Franchise Tax Board?
I don't have any questions right now. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Judge Johnson?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Brown, I do have one question for you at this point, and you might not have to answer right at the tip of your hand. So if you don't, I will ask you the question, then I'll go to the taxpayer to give you some time to check it out. But the taxpayers in their presentation assert that this is the first time they've been late. So is that correct?
I don't know that, Judge, and I can check that out, but I don't have any reason to doubt that assertion.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let the taxpayers make their closing, and then maybe by the time they're done, you might have the answer for us. So, Ms. Khayyam, you have your closing statements, a rebuttal argument.
Go ahead, Suhail. Do you want to take the closing statement?
It is very hard to explain the situation that we were in during that time. All the consequences of the late filings are, I heard Mr. Brown's argument, but it is very difficult for you to put yourself in my shoes while I'm trying to run a company at a time which I had no access to a lot of our documents, because we were told by the governor of New York that we have to stay home for months and months. We were not prepared. We did not have that electronic capabilities, or my staff were not familiar with the electronic expertise to, like a lot of people who were working from home and managed to get the work done from home. We are a small company with a 41-year-old company. Many of my staff are with me these 41 years, so they are mostly as old as I am, not as technical, myself not as technical with the electronic communications to do the work from home. So to make the long story short, we just were not equipped to get it done. And that's how we suffered. And it's a miracle that we managed to make it back, bring the company back, and be here today still running the company. But we were in a chaos mode. And I'm not exaggerating using that word. It was a chaotic time. It's hard for you to understand it because you were not in our shoes here, what we were going through. I hope I explained it the best I could to make the matters as understandable and as real as what we were going through. We have paid our taxes every year. We managed to pay it on time. This was just one hiccup, which was caused by not something which was in our power. So I do hope, wrong word, I do hope that I will have your understanding that what happened was because of what we went through. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khayyam. Judge Long, any questions for anybody?
Yes, I'm going to ask a follow-up question to Mr. Khayyam. You mentioned that you didn't have online tools or the availability to work remotely prior to this, to COVID incident in, March 2020 and subsequent. Had you or your staff done much in terms of remote work, or were you office-based?
We were always office-based. That's why when we had to work from home, it became impossible for us.
All right, and I have one more question. Now, I understand that 2020 is the year at issue and also the year that COVID began. So I want to ask for your 2021 return. Did you have any, and FTB might be able to respond to this too, did you have any incident or any issues with your 2021 return?
Can you answer that, please?
No, 2021, Judge, was filed with the valid extension. It was filed by the extended due date of October 15th of 2022.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you,
Okay.
Judge Long. Judge Johnson.
Thank you. One question for appellants. I know we're focusing largely on, I believe it's Cameron Industries, the company at issue. Were there any or was there a significant portion of your income that also came from outside that company, other investment income, for example, or business income, or was it all basically just from that company?
It was all from the company.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Judge Johnson. For the taxpayers, either Ms. Khayyam, Mr. Khayyam, what business were you guys in? Manufacturing? What did you make?
Ladies apparel, Judge.
Oh,
It's very
Brings back-
hands-on type of a business. So.
This is why we're strictly in office business, because it's a clothing business. People have to come in, people see the clothing. The staff has to work with each other. We had never, not even one person who was working remotely. Nobody had ever worked remotely, because this is work that cannot be done remotely, since it's a teamwork, team effort. So when we were hit with COVID, the first few months, we were like up in the air. We didn't know how to manage it, and it took a very long time. And then even after we did try to work from home, there was no way from us to monitor what our accounting department was or was not doing. So it all added to the difficulties.
Yeah, bringing back memories. My parents are in the fashion industry on Canal Street.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So you can, Judge, you can relate to what we're saying, that how hands-on business is business.
Yes. So your income for the 2020 year, was it any different from the prior years? Was it more? Was it less?
Because
About
of
the same?
COVID, because of COVID was a crazy time. When it was closed, there was no income, no shipping, and then suddenly everybody needed goods, and then there was that shipping disaster where all the goods got stuck. So it was a very different time from any other prior years.
Yeah.
Very hard to gauge.
Okay, so was the income at the
Yes. It was
higher or lower or
Lower.
about the same? Lower.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. For the franchise tax board, the Form 540 NR or the resident return is very dependent on what taxpayers how they file with the 1040 with the IRS, and oftentimes the amounts come right off the lines from the Form 1040. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
So in situations where the 1040 is not filed yet, would you say that it's almost impossible for a taxpayer to file either a Form 540 or a Form 540 NR?
I don't know that, Judge, because it depends. It's different for every taxpayer.
Okay. Has the FTB ever experienced a situation where the IRS tells taxpayers you don't need to file by the normal due date? You can file. We'll give you more time because whatever disaster, whether it's a hurricane in Florida or Texas or floods in New York or whatnot, and which FTB would not follow that same extension?
Well, I'm not entirely prepared to answer that, Judge, because I'm not an expert on our damage, or pardon me, our disaster policies, but I do know we have disaster policies with extensions, and they
Yes.
do follow the Internal Revenue Service's own. And I do know that when a governor or the president declares a disaster, then there will usually be a following extension for many things. So yes, FTB has handled those many times in the past. In particular, some of the California wildfires and earthquakes and floods that we encounter as well.
Yes, and I understand that with California disasters, which are almost every year, that makes sense. I'm just wondering where you have taxpayers who are non-residents, and in their state of residence, they have their own personal or natural disaster, and the IRS gives that state an extension. Would franchise tax board follow up and do the same thing?
Oh, yes, they would. I am sure they would. I was unaware of the specific extension of any deadline, including any deadlines that the IRS imposed for tax year 2020.
Well, we'll see if Mr. Lipner's submission after the hearing.
Yeah, Judge, I just forwarded that over in an email.
Okay,
so
well,
we'll
just hold on.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lipner. We'll hold on to that, but I'm sure Mr. Brown may not be near his email. But so in a situation like here, if the IRS are given the taxpayer, I mean, I sort of recall that particular Hurricane Ida in 2021. So normally the 2020 federal return would have been filed with the extension by October 15th, 2021. They apparently there was a disaster in New York in September of 2021 where the IRS said, okay, we're going to give you extensions through February 2022. If that turns out to be correct, Mr. Brown, would franchise tax board entertain or abide by the IRS extension to February 2022?
Well, I can't provide an answer to that, Judge. There's too many other circumstances that we just do not know. And that's one of the problems here is we don't have sufficient evidence in the form of any efforts or any kind of efforts made to even estimate whatever taxes were due, to file a return of any kind, make any payments of any kind. We don't know what communications were or were not made. We have no documentary evidence of any kind to show what the reactions were in the face of any such disaster. California and the IRS are two separate agencies, and again, we deal with disasters annually, and so it's just part of the taxpayer world in which we live.
Yes.
I am not unsympathetic to what happened during COVID, and in fact, California's response was to extend its own deadline for a month, and that was the date that the governor and the legislature determined was reasonable for California. And again, I don't have enough information or evidence to make a response as to this taxpayer's particular responses, other than the witness testimony that we heard today.
Okay, that's a fair point. And the taxpayer, Mr. Lipner, has already sent by email the IRS announcement. Do you need any other information to verify that the IRS gave extensions to everybody in New York through February 2022? If you needed it, what would you like?
I don't know. I am not in a position to even know, Your Honor. And if they say that it was extended, I don't have any reason to disbelieve that. The question is, what individual circumstances are prevailing more than whether there was a blanket IRS extension. That's my concern at this point. I've not had an opportunity to address any of those concerns at all, and that was one of my concerns I articulated in the pre-hearing conference.
Would you like an opportunity? Would you like an opportunity to address it?
It depends. I don't know what I'm even asking to be responding to.
This is Cynthia Kent, if I
Hi,
may
Ms.
add.
Kent.
We're happy to review the additional evidence, and we'll review it with our disaster relief team. And generally, we do follow if the IRS doesn't allow an extension. So we will reevaluate based on that evidence. However, the tax payment was still late. The taxpayers may, in fact, be subject to a late payment penalty. And I do have the answer to your earlier question, if I may. I did take a quick look at their accounts. I did just look at it quickly. It appears that they do have estimate tax payments for most years that have been imposed and paid. They also had a late payment penalty that was imposed for the 2018 year and also the 2021 tax year. So they did pay late for those 2 years as well.
Okay. Let me put everybody on mute, and so I can confer with my co-panelists to see whether we would want additional briefing. So just
Judge, could I just make one comment? This is Mr. Lipner.
sure.
There was never a late filing by the Khayyams. There might have been late payments, but nothing was prior to the year in question. Nothing was ever filed late by the Khayyams on any tax years with the state of California.
Okay. Give me about 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Stay where you are.
Thank you.
Hey, we're back. Thank everybody for being patient. This is what we've decided to do. We're going to ask for additional briefing, and we'll let the FTB go first. We'll give them 30 days. Then the taxpayer 30 days to respond after that. And then if FTB wants to submit something after that, 30 days. Your typical 30, 30, 30 type of additional briefing. And what we like to be answered is whether Franchise Tax Board will follow IRS guidance or pronouncements regarding extensions of filing when there's a disaster outside of New York, outside of California, and the disaster occurs where the taxpayer's state of residence is. Mr. Brown?
That's fine. I have no issue with that, Your Honor.
Just want to make sure that what we're asking you is clear.
It is clear. Am I to expect any of this in writing?
We will be doing, I should be getting an order out as soon as I can after this hearing. So the answer is yes.
All right, thank you.
And you will at least have a start, what Mr. Lipner has sent you by email. You can look at that, and whatever research you guys do, you know what to do with that. So you'll have 30 days to prepare that brief. Mr. and Mrs. Khayyam, after FTB prepares that briefing, OTA, they'll send you a copy, I believe, and OTA will send you a copy and a letter saying that FTB has submitted their brief, and they'll give you 30 days to respond to that. And then after you respond, the same process, send a copy to FTB. OTA will notify everybody that we received the taxpayer's response, and then we'll give FTB 30 days if they desire another 30 days. And that's it.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
we
Judge.
will keep the record open for this hearing. And we will await the additional briefing. And after we've gotten our briefing done, we will close the record later. And we'll keep in touch everyone with the correspondence. So we thank everybody for attending today's appeal. And we will be ending this hearing at this point. And the next hearing for OTA this morning will begin around 10:50 a.m. Everybody have a great day. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank you
Judge.
so
Thank you,
much.
Judge.
Thank you.